Joshua Smith, what is going on, my brother? How are you doing?
Doing awesome, man. Stoked to be here, bro. How you doing?
Thanks a lot, dude. I appreciate it. So, man, I'm so happy you can come on the podcast and share some nuggets of wisdom here with us in our Facebook community, Next Level Agents as well. And so I thought it would be cool because you and I got the chance to rap for a couple hours a couple weeks ago at your office, and I thought, man, what'd be really cool is if we just have this conversation again kind of online and let some other folks listen in. So I know I always learn a lot whenever you and I spend time together. So I thought it'd be kind of cool to redo that, if you will.
Yeah, no, man. It's dude. It's I mean, we're blessed to be in the same market. Even though we're in the same market, like, yeah, I think you made the comment when we were out in LA, like, yeah, I guess we got to both fly to LA to be able to hang out. Yeah, right. But we are blessed to be in the same market, man, and spend a lot of time together. And man, we spend time with you and Fred. Dude, I always learn so much, and yeah, it's an honor to roll with you, man. I always love jamming.
Love it, man. Well, I think a lot of our listeners and a lot of our viewers know you just from your podcast, the GSD Mode podcast. You came and spoke at the Next Level Agents live event in 2018 in Las Vegas. And obviously you put out your fair share of content over the years. But for like maybe the 3 people that didn't have a license earlier this year that might be listening to this, give us a background. Like, dude, who is Joshua Smith? How did you get started, and what the heck is GSD Mode? Like, walk us through how you go from this guy gets a license, start selling real estate to this. Like, I know you're not going to brag, so I'm going to brag for you. You've built a phenomenal business and a lot of things outside of quote unquote just being a realtor. And so I'd love to just kind of like give me the Reader's Digest version of how did you do that?
Yeah, dude. So like about everything else that's happened in my life, it's so funny because I spend so much time just preaching to people, like, get clarity what you want, have a plan. Yeah, right. And I do fully believe in that. I try to be extremely intentional now today, but so much of where I'm at and the things that just happened, like none of this was like planned, right? Like I never planned on being here, right? Like in this real estate space and especially when I got into the business, I never planned on being here 13, 14 years later. So before I got into real estate, dude, I was in the health club business. I grew up in that business. My father owned and operated gyms for 30 years, which was a dope foundation for real estate. I mean, it's the identical process, but instead of selling the goal of home ownership and you're allowing people to achieve their health goals, but everything else, dude, it's the same process, right? So. But when I was 23, I was managing a gym out here in Arizona, and I just got to the point where I was like, man, it was just one of these things that in that business, every facility that I was with, every time, like they set up a compensation structure, and you go out there and you crush it, and think you're finally getting ahead, and they would change the compensation structure on you again. So there was always like this cap and just so much bullshit that you just couldn't control. And but I was so passionate about health and fitness. I still am today. I always say that health and fitness is my passion. Real estate's my obsession, right? So that's where it all started, man. 23 years old. I just got frustrated for working for other people, other operators. And I'm like, dude, I'm going to open up my own facility. I got to figure this out. Well, I'm 23 years old, like $1,000 to my name, college dropout. Yeah, right. And it was going to cost $800,000 to open the facility I wanted to go out there and open and create. And couldn't get a loan, didn't know how to go out there and raise capital at the time. And so I had to figure that out, man. I was like, all right, I got to go out there and raise my own capital. And now this was 2005, dude. Oh no, 2004, 2005. Yeah. That all this was happening. I got my license in, I think, April or May of 2005. So, but at that time, like you were here, dude. I mean, I know a lot of the places in the country experiencing a boom. And other markets experienced a crazy boom like we did here. But here in Arizona, dude, it was like nothing we've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
So everybody I knew was crushing in real estate. I mean, even the people that I knew, I'm like, this dude is like, this is a chump. How the hell is this cat making it? Right? Everybody just at least appeared to be making money hand over fist. So I'm like, dude, like I love people. I love sales. I love working my ass off. Like that is the vehicle I will jump into. And I just figured I'd jump in, grind it out. This is before I was married, before I had kids. And I was like, dude, like I'll devote, 4 years of my life and work 100 hours a week, whatever it takes, and just go out there and raise the capital to at least enough capital, maybe to get then have a bank to take me serious to go out there and open up that facility. And through that journey, dude, like I said, man, I just truly fell in love with real estate. And it wasn't working with buyers, working with sellers, right? Not that I never minded that, right? But I had a bigger vision. The vision was I needed to have success here as a stepping stone to create what I wanted to create. But I never loved that process, right? Like I don't really, like I said, I don't mind it, but I don't get excited about, chauffeuring buyers around. I don't get excited about sitting across the table from a seller arguing with me that their house is worth more than every comp on God's green earth, supports. Where I became passionate about it is or obsessed with it is when I started my team. And, when I jumped in the business again, 2005, I don't know if I duplicate it today. Who knows? But the market was on fire. And again, everywhere the pulse was selling real estate. Dude, I did end up doing 48 deals my first year. And this is 2005, man. So we're using razor flip phones, right? Facebook didn't exist. YouTube didn't exist. Right. Like, dude, like at that time, man, there was no DocuSign. Like you didn't, like, we wouldn't even use the scanners. Right. So our capacities were lower. But at that time, dude, I'm like, man, I was maxed out at a capacity. So I couldn't fathom how to double my business or really even add an extra deal or two a month to my plate. 4 or 5 deals was that capacity. So at the end of my first year, I was like, all right, man, I need to leverage and scale. Now, the blessing I had, dude, is being in the health club business as long as I was. My father had started multiple facilities, and even after my dad retired from the gym business, and I started working for other gym owners. I did a lot of gym launches, right? So, what that means is, like the gym that I ran here in Arizona, I got that gym up and running from the ground up, meaning as they're doing the TI construction, I'm in a trailer doing pre-sales. Yeah. Right. And then from there, when you're going through that pre-sale process and building up a gym, it was like, okay, hey, you at the beginning, like you're doing it all. Right. Then you get to a membership count and the revenue supports itself, where then, you hire an assistant. That assistant would be like a front desk staff, answering calls, answering, just the BS questions that aren't growth oriented. And then that allows you to take the next level, right. Then you get to the point where then you could bring on another sales guy, then another sales guy, then eventually have a whole sales team. And I had done that multiple times. Right. So, so even though that in 2005, dude, at the end of 2005, when I was starting my team, or knew I had to start my team, I had no idea how to create a team in real estate. And really at that time, dude, teams weren't really a thing. I mean, they somewhat existed, but nothing like it is today. And even the team leaders that existed out there, like they had no idea what the fuck they were doing. Like, right. Like they just wasn't out there like it is now. But I had so much experience that before. I was like, I know what to do. Right. So I hired my first admin. And then about 6 weeks later, dude, I ended up hiring my first buyer's agent. I remember like it was yesterday, dude. I'm working, working the phones. I've got my Franklin calendar at that point, which at the time, and I had a buyer that called me up, a buyer lead, and they wanted to go see some property, scheduled time to go see property. I was 3 weeks booked out of my calendar. Right now, I buy my way 3 days, but they're not waiting 3 weeks. So like I just knew, and again from my past experiences, that like there is that threshold where now you're losing money. Right. And that's what led to, hiring a first. I'm like, I got to have somebody to help with this overflow of buyers. Because my first 18 months, dude, I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. I haven't really, I don't know why. It just never comes up. It's not something like I'm ashamed of, but, dude, I didn't get my first listing or take a listing for my first 18 months. I did over 100 home sales so I was just buyer focused, man.
Oh, wow.
I only started going after listings, dude, because I was doing so many open houses. And I was getting so sick and tired of having to beg agents to hold their homes open. And it became like I was having to spend so much prospecting time begging these other agents. I'm like, dude, I bet I could probably like just prospect at expireds and the same amount of time get my own listings. And like I only wanted them to have for open house storefronts. So at that time, it was all buy business, right? But at the end of the second year, next thing you know, I got 6 buyers agents and just every year kept growing from there. And that's when I fell in love with the business of, I realized at that point, right, I had one of my teammates came in the office and they're like bawling in tears. And I'm thinking like something happened negative to like, and I'm not good with that. Like I'm the dude, like when a girl starts crying or like whatever, I'm like I'm the most uncomfortable dude. Like, I don't know what to say. I don't, like it's just an awkward deal. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go. And I'm like, what's up? Right. And she just starts thanking me. And she's like, man, I got to tell you, since I've been here, she's like, I just got to share this with you. She's like, I'm being with you and all the coaching and support, mentorship that you provided me. I'm making more money than I've ever made in my life. She's like, I'm healthier. I've lost more weight. I'm healthier than I've ever been in my life. My marriage is better than it's ever been in my life. She's like, this has been the best experience of my life. And it was just one of those things where like those moments where you just get goosebumps and you're just like, boom, like at that moment, I knew that I could have the same impact or what much more of an impact that I could in the health club business. Because the reason I was so passionate about the health clubs, which is what I didn't share. My father was in that space, like I said, for 30 plus years. But, I worked for my dad because I had to work for my dad. I didn't have to, but it was a job, right?
Right.
But at one point in my life, man, I lost my health. I got massively depressed and I just let my health go. And I became morbidly obese. And got to the point where I was like 280 pounds and ended up having to go through a journey to get my health back and lost 118 pounds and from going from the extreme of losing my health to now regaining it, but now on a level that I never had before. I mean, that is what spurred my passion. I wanted to give that gift to other people at the health clubs. Yeah. And I realized with real estate, I can give everybody that gift as well as the financial gift, as well as like, I knew the impact would be more here. I mean, from that day, dude, it's just been, like I said, passion is an understatement, man. It's been an obsession and it's been a wild ride, man. Like, as you know, dude, like, we rode that crazy ride, 2005, 2006, 2007, things started shifting pretty heavily here. Kind of like your story with the short sales, dude. I mean, I had a seller, right, that we're selling their house in escrow and getting ready with docs are at title, and the escrow officer calls me and she's like, well, when's the seller bringing in their funds? I'm like, what are you talking about? They should be netting X. Like, what do you mean when they're bringing in the funds? She's like, no. She's like, they have a second loan on the property. They don't have enough to sell their house. And I'm like, hold on. Yeah, right. So I call up the seller. I'm like, what is going on, you guys? Wow. Right? You told me you had one loan. Like, we had this conversation. What is this second loan? Well, they had taken out a line of credit and didn't realize it was a lien on their house. So they had no idea. Yeah, right. So then I'm like, what do I do? Yeah, right. Ended up turning into a short sale, and that became the first short sale. And so then like the short sales, and then heavy REO. We were able to evolve and adapt very quickly with the changes. And I always tell people, like, it wasn't a gift. It's not because I'm smart. I mean, I'm a college dropout. I've got a low IQ. Like, I'm not like some super intelligent dude that knew all this stuff, right? I think a big part of it, dude, was when I jumped in, shit was so crazy and I was new. And it was like every day walking in the office, pulling out a blank piece of paper, having to reinvent yourself every single day. So I didn't have bad habits. Like, every day was like, fuck, what are we going to do today? Like, so we were able to, I think, be able to shift and adapt so much because that was all we knew.
Yeah. Josh, like I hear what you're saying, and dude, you're super modest too, especially considering the level of success that you had. But like you've already said a couple different things that are, quite frankly, like foundational learning points that if more people in our industry, not even just our industry, but in our world, if they approach business and life with that same vigor, like it can completely change their businesses and their life. So yeah, maybe you didn't go to an Ivy League college and graduate. But what I heard is you actually did learn a model inside of the gym business. You also learned that if you were going to follow your passion in the gym business, you had to go make the money somewhere else. Most people don't actually think like that. And so then you went out and you started crushing it. And then you said, hold on, I need listings. Now, you weren't even thinking I want listings because I want listings. You were going, I know that that's my key to getting more business on the buy side. And so I'll just go get it. Most folks in our industry don't realize that they could just make the decision to focus on something and go put all of their energy and time and effort into that one thing until it becomes real. But the thing I know about you is you go do something and then you stick to it till it becomes real and it becomes the thing that you were after. It allows you to then buy the vehicle or become the vehicle for what it is that you're really trying to go after. Like, you're not afraid to play the long game by winning the short game and changing your short-term strategy. I think so many people are focused on what it looks like in the short run rather than being focused on what their ultimate goal is, which the thing that stuck out to me already is very clear, is that you are clear on what that is. And
Yeah,
that's important.
I think it's crazy sometimes how life experiences that like really have nothing to do with each other, kind of mold us, for either success or failure, right? And like, dude, like for example, overcoming obesity, right? I mean, that was not an easy task, and it was it took a lot of commitment, but like the only way for me to make that possible, I mean, I always compare it to like losing weight or working out to real estate, right? It's like one of these things where, you're working out like crazy, you're dieting like crazy, you're putting yourself through all this pain every single day, right? And you're looking in the mirror every day and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Like, you still look like shit naked. You're like, what the hell? Right? But you consistently do that. And after, let's just say 90 days, 120 days, you start noticing a couple of results. And then after 6 months, and then, but in order to make that a reality, man, when I was overcoming obesity, I had to learn to attach to the daily wins. Right. And celebrate those daily wins. Because dude, if you're just paying attention to the scale, right. Like, you can't attach to the scale. Right. I had to attach to, all right. So the win today is just to make sure I hit my daily caloric account. Right. And then get my activity in. That's it. Like, if I do that, that's the win. The win wasn't what is my waist size, what does the scale show? Because I would have been too discouraged. Right. So like, even my real estate business, like it's never like, even today, dude, like, yeah, of course I'm paying attention to closes. Right. But that's the end. I mean, that's the end result, right? Like my wins are, always setting up to the right key indicators, celebrating those daily wins and attach those daily wins. Because otherwise, yeah, dude, like if we focus on the wrong things, you get defeated, you give up, you get down on yourself, which you can't do it, right? That really set the foundation for a lot of this stuff. And,
I think there's something too, I just want to add in, like, I think it's one of the things that, whether I knew it consciously or not, but I think one of the things that maybe had where I felt a little bit of a bond with you is like, there was one point in my life where I was over 400 pounds. And so I had to fight that battle too. And the crazy part was I fought that battle, overcame it, lost probably 175 pounds or so in under 2 years, but then slowly gained back about 75 of that 175, and then went to try to take it off again and just hit every wall in the world. And you and I talked about this a little bit, I think, earlier in the year, where then I realized, like, there's actually certain things that weren't working. And it literally took medical help to go, well, hold on, there's some other things here going on in the background you're not aware of. And so having to overcome those and stick to those little daily wins that you can't necessarily always see in the mirror or on the scale on a daily thing, like attaching to those daily things. Like for me, it's actually my blood draws every quarter, and then finding little daily wins in between those that I have to attach my results to, because the reality is if you get stuck on what does it look like right now, what's my result, whether it's in weight loss or in real estate sales or in gym sales, right? Doesn't matter. You're going to continue to hit a wall because fucking life will smack you in the nose, right? And it doesn't care about your plan, and you're going to have something that drives you to keep going anyways. And you're going to have something to believe in that keeps you to get going. So I don't think I consciously was aware of that before, of having seen you actually go through your journey partway, at least, online through social, et cetera, that was something that you and I were probably connected with, or at least I was connected to you on. So that's pretty awesome, man. Because I felt like if I could do that in my personal life, I could do that in my business. And I sense that you had a similar connection.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And, and look, guys, like, I know, something, this is just to piggyback off something that you said, man, you gotta be patient, dude. Like, and it's tough because us as entrepreneurs, as drivers, man, we are, typically impatient human beings. But one of the best qualities and traits that you can learn to adopt as an entrepreneur is to be extremely patient. Like, I've never built one thing in life that has been easy, right? Like, and maybe I just suck, I don't know, but I'm like, dude, like everything I've ever done has taken 100 times more time, 100 times more effort, has sucked 100 more times, right? Like you got to be prepared for that, man, and be patient with it. I mean, people are like, oh, like for example, with goals, right? Like I set goals. I don't set timeframes for my goals, right? And some people are like, what would with that? But it's like, look, if my goal is to get to 1,000 homes a year, right, I'm going to work my ass off every single day, and of course, pay attention to my key indicators and track and to keep that trajectory happening. But what does it really matter if that happens in 12 months or 24 months or 36 months, right? I am committed to the goal. It doesn't fucking matter how long it takes, right?
Josh,
So
I agree with you. I agree with you, but what about the agent that's listening right now that their broker or their coach or whoever they're around, or maybe just their accountability buddy is in the ear going, no, man, you got to have SMART goals, and that T stands for time. It's got to have a time frame on it. Like, what do you say to that agent? Because I promise you that agent is listening to this podcast right now, and they're going, what do you mean I shouldn't put a time frame on my goal? What do you say to that girl or to that guy who's got somebody in their ear telling them, you've got the SMART goals and the T is for time?
Yeah. So, number one, what I would say is be very, very careful of whom you listen to and take advice from. If somebody has not personally built or created what you want to create, don't fucking listen to them. Right? I mean, everybody out there has an opinion. My dad always says, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, but nobody wants to hear yours, right? Like, right? Dude, like everybody, the wrong people are always the ones giving the advice. Right? So now I might not be the right dude to give you advice. You may not want to build and create what I built and create, right? So that's number one. Make sure that you're listening to the right people, dude, right? It drives me crazy when I hear people like, oh, well, my husband's telling me to do this. My wife's telling me, like, when it comes to business, right? Whatever. And they've never been in real estate, and they're chirping in their ear, and they allow the wrong person to influence them in the wrong area of their life. So that's number one. Right now, when it comes to timeframes, right? So let me also be very clear on this, man. I do set very strict commitments. So commitments are how much by when. Now, my goal, like maybe my goal is to get to 1,000 transactions, right? And then I'm going to set my daily commitments of what needs to happen and what I can do, to go out there and get to make that a reality. But here's the thing of when it comes to time, right? Like maybe you can't pull the commitments off that you need to get done to, like I talked to an individual agent that's a buddy of mine the other day, and he's like, hey man, my goal is to do $500,000 in 2019 in GCI as an individual agent, right? And which I think is dope, right? And I think he's around like 150, 200 this year, right? So, and like I told him, I'm like, dude, I think that's dope. And there's individual agents doing it every single day, right? But my advice to him, because he was, it wasn't unsolicited advice he was asking me, but I'm like, look, bro, like it took me 3 years to net that kind of money. And by the time I netted it, right, I mean, I had a full-time assistant and I had 6 buyer's agents, right? With that. So, sometimes I'm like, dude, like you may crush that goal and hit that goal, right, in the next 12 months. But don't get discouraged and abandon the goal, because you might find on that journey to that goal where it's like, okay, hey man, I hit a capacity. Now I need to hire an assistant. Well, learning how to hire an assistant, training that assistant, bring that assistant on, like you are going to retract, right? 100%. Like when you hire an assistant, plan on losing money for the next 9 months of your life. It's going to happen. Yeah. Right. At least until you get damn good at the process. Right. So, so you're going to retract, right? But that retraction then allows you to springboard that much further. And then the same thing's going to happen a little bit when you bring on your agent, because they're going to consume time. You got to develop processes and systems and, whatever. So and my point of that with him is like, look, 500,000 is the goal. Stick to the goal. Now, I mean, I love hearing him say he wants to hit it next year. Right. But don't get discouraged and abandon the goal and then lower your standard for that goal. Right. If you don't hit it. Yeah, right. Because sometimes, like again, man, you got to adjust, and like goal. It's not like this, dude. It's like sometimes you're this, and then you're this, and then you got to dip a little bit, and then it's it's just how life goes. So, I mean, every single day. So I'm massively patient when it comes to the long game with the goals that I want to create. Now, then on a daily basis, right? I mean, I can be extremely impatient, and I'm trying to pack as much as I possibly can in, and at every 15-minute increment all throughout the day.
Yeah, you are.
Commitments, micro commitments, right? Which is how much by when each and every day. Yeah, right. And that's the other thing too, right? Is when people are setting goals, they don't take the time, right, to let's just say either track their numbers, or if they're not tracking their numbers and knowing their own real data, they don't take the time to go out there and do their research and come up with the best guesstimate of what the true numbers are to hit that goal, right? Like, dude, if you have a goal, like you need to know, like with what our team goal is, like our 5-year vision, we know what we need to do every single day right now to make that a reality. So we're working on those commitments, based on a 5-year vision. Yeah, right. Now, and when I say like I don't set timeframes for goals, like I have a 5-year vision. I know where I want to be in 5 years with my real estate business. So when I say I don't set timeframes to them, I guess a better way to maybe frame that is I don't attach to it. I don't allow myself to get defeated if I don't hit that. Like, here's a good example, dude. I had a friend a while back that started running 5Ks. And she just run her first 5K, and it was a big accomplishment. She'd never been a runner. And then she had this goal for her second 5K. And I talked to her a little while after, and man, I was like, hey, dude, how'd the race go? How'd the 5K go? And she was so hard on herself. She's like, oh, it went terrible, and da da da, and I didn't hit my goal. And I'm like, well, what was your time? And she tells me her time. And I'm like, well, what was the time for your first one? And I don't remember what they were, but I could pull up my calculator. Yeah, right. I'm like, dude, like you had a 57% increase from race 1 to race 2, right? Like you were beating yourself up over something that you just fucking kicked ass at, right? So like don't defeat yourself. Like if the goal is to do a 5K in X amount of time, like it might take you 3, 4, 5, 10. Who gives a fuck how many races it takes you, right? Learn to celebrate the wins and allow yourself to go through the necessary process, right, to make that goal a reality. Yeah, right. So, people give up way too quick, dude. And one thing I highly recommend everybody do, because I've been through some dark times, dude. Like I said, like this, none of this shit has come easy to me, man. I mean, I've made it, I've lost it, I've been broke, I've been $100,000 of business credit card debt, I've owed the IRS a shit ton of money because of poor planning. I've wanted to. I've been this close from quitting this business at least half a dozen times. I just fucking fed up, done, right? I've been defeated. I've struggled for over half of my career, right? And some of them are from, slow pains, some are growth pains, but either way, it's happened, right? So, what always gets me through those moments, what I think people, like, if you want to build something epic and go out there and create success, then start studying the greats. Here's it, like Elon Musk, dude. Like a great book to read is Elon Musk by Ashley Vance. A lot of people know about Elon Musk, but he is the founder of PayPal. So sells PayPal, banks like $225 million. Takes all that money and goes out there and starts Tesla and SpaceX, right? Even though everybody was against him, told him he was an idiot. But dude, he massively fucking failed to the point where lost everything, forecloses on his house. His wife leaves him, divorces him, and takes his kids from him. He's sleeping on his buddy's couch. And at midnight, the banks are they're chaining the doors and seizing Tesla and SpaceX, right? So imagine that, like 2 years earlier, 225 million, yeah, right? Like on top of the world to 2 years later being defeated, right? And then like on the 11th hour, a VC fund that believed in him ended up infusing some capital that, allowed him to get the restart and take it to where it is today. Yeah, right. But when you study those guys like that, dude, you realize the struggle that they went through. That's what people don't see. Another book that I just got done reading to that, I end up crying, and I'm not really a emotional guy that cries, right? Unless I crush like a fifth of vodka or something, right? So, right? But that book, dude, man, it brought me to the point of tears several times, man. And it's a book called it's by Phil Knight called Shoe Dog.
Okay.
So it's the co-founder of Nike. And what's dope about the book is it's the first 20 years of the start of Nike. So it's all before they went public, and all the pains, all the struggles, everything that they went through. Right? Study Jeff Bezos, right? Okay, yeah, the richest dude on the planet now, but he was the brokest dude, and when lost money, went broke, and pushed through pains that no other human being would push through for 2 decades, 20 years of his life, so he could master how to be the best company that operates on the thinnest margins on the planet to now become the richest dude on the planet. So, one thing is you're studying the greats that you find. If they were to have a superpower, right, it's their ability to keep pushing through and endure more pain than anybody else. Like you got to push through the fucking pain, right? And then you start to discover that pain and power come from the same place, and that's what allows for growth and you to learn. But that's what people don't see. Yeah, right. They see, maybe the success that you and I have now today, or other people have success, or like I had an agent in my office yesterday that was struggling on my team, and she's telling me some of these clowns she's watching on YouTube, and I'm like, dude, I know those clowns, and what you see isn't reality, right? Like be fucking careful with that shit, right? Like you start comparing yourself to other people's stories, right? But you have false information. Or you don't have the complete story. And that becomes a scary element of this, dude. I want to finish one thing because I know you have a question or want to say something, but go to Barnes & Noble, right? If you go to Barnes & Noble anymore. But like when you walk in there, look at all those business books in there, right? Less than 95% of them were actually written by an entrepreneur, right? So like The Cat That Wrote Good to Great. The only business that dude has ever been involved in was writing a book called Good to Great to be able to sell the book, right? So now, is it a good book? Sure, right? Like I'm not dogging on the book. Right. But what you don't understand is guys like that just go out there and study the greats and what they've done to create success. What the missing element that you don't see is all the pain and struggle. So you get incomplete information, and then you start comparing yourself, right, to others. Like no one cut out comparison. Who gives a fuck? Right. Who gives a shit what I'm doing? Who gives a shit? Like I fell in a trap to this. Like I was like so adamant on being able to get a private jet. And then I started like doing, why do I want a private jet? Like, and I started like thinking about all the ways I would use it. Cause I got to a point where I can't afford a strip jet, but I can afford a private plane for my family and I. So I started looking at that, right? But then I'm like, fuck, where would I go? And then when I really started mapping out the pros and cons, I'm like, dude, this would just be, it's like owning a boat. It's going to be a fucking headache, right? And I just discovered with it, well, dude, like Cardone has a plane and I like, I spent a lot of years studying Cardone but Cardone isn't me, man. It's not going to do me any good trying to compare my life with what his life is. Right. Like, dude, we're running our own race, man. Like quit the comparison thing and right. Study the right people.
Yeah. So you said a couple things there that I want to like circle back on, dude. Number one is like you talking about your teammate who's watching videos on YouTube. And that's great because like one of the great things I love about YouTube, and you and I both utilize it, right, is because we want to give back to the community. And so there's a lot of people that can give back. But if we're not careful to use our filter of even knowing where the road that these people have been down, and quite frankly, whether they're full of shit or not, it's hard to not just buy into their hype. And so that's really tough. But I think that all comes back to the other point you said, which is why compare? Like, just don't compare yourself. And if your goal is your goal, like if that's really the goal and that's the thing that matters to you, and this is where I completely agree with you, Josh, like is who fucking cares about the time frame? Just go and get, if it matters, go get it. And if you only get 50% of it this year or 70% of it, great. But keep pushing through. If that's really the goal, go out and get it. And so I think that's way more wisdom than probably most of us heard. And I'm gonna go back and listen to this podcast again afterwards because I want to hear your tell that story again. But another thing I want to share, you started talking about books and you said something to me when we were in LA earlier this year. You talked about you realized you needed to start studying different people because you were studying you were studying maybe some entrepreneurs that weren't exactly maybe the path that was the best fit for you. And so you took a hard look at yourself. I remember you told me about kind of an evaluation that you took as well that went along with it. Tell me about that process. How did you even check yourself to go and do that? And like, what did you learn about you in that process?
So I was blessed to have this amazing coach come into my life. Her name's Camille Rose, hands down by far the best coach I've ever worked with in my life, and had nothing to do with business, nothing to do with real estate, but she's a peak performance coach.
Okay.
Anyway, though, like I got to a point where I'm like, all right, man, like there as you create more success, right? There's like what got you to 100 grand isn't going to get you 500 grand. What got you to 500 grand won't get you a million. And there's different levels of support that we need at different elements of our life. And the more successful that you become, the more intentional you need to be with your self-care. It just happens, right? And self-care isn't just, your physical body and it's your mind. And I've done a ton of work on business, but I hadn't done a ton of work like going deep into my mind and my thought. Like I'm like, look, man, I mean, how many limiting beliefs? Like one of my mentors, that is one of my coaches right now, currently, is Darren Hardy. A lot of you guys know he probably is the author of Compound Effect, and that is was for over a decade the publisher of Success Magazine. And Darren always says that if you were to split the atom, to like the smallest thing that exists out there, if you were to split the atom as far as what stifles people from creating the success that they want, creating the lives that they want more than anything else, and you were to split that atom and discover like the real issue, it's subconscious limiting beliefs that people aren't aware that they have. Right. And of course he's been my mentor, and I've been a huge fan of his for so many years. I never listened to it. I listened to it, but I didn't listen to it, right? Or didn't hear it. I didn't, it's like you can hear the message, but you don't like. Yep. But finally it connected with me, right? So I'm like, all right, man, like everybody else, like I mean, we all have certain paths and childhoods and whatever, and I mean, none of us were guaranteed or entitled to an amazing epic childhood. So I don't believe in being a little bitch and being a victim about how great or ungreat our childhood was. It is what it is, right? But I'm like, all right, there's probably some shit. Like, I mean, I don't even know what this looks like, but I knew that I needed to just do a different type of work to get me to the next level, or at least I was willing to try. And actually, when I first hired, I was fucking pissed, dude. Yeah, right. So I first hire, and we're doing a webcam session like this. Like a first session was like for 3 hours, and the whole time we're talking about my marriage. And I'm like, dude, like I had to take a time out. I'm like, dude, like, because I'm getting pissed. I'm like, I'm not here to fucking hire you to help me with my marriage. I'm here to hire you with my business. Like, why are we like? I just got pissed. Right. And she's like, all right. She's like, do you trust me? And I'm like, well, I thought I did, but I'm not sure now. Right. And she's like, well, before this, when you hired me, because she's not cheap, right? So I did my due diligence. So she's like before she got into starting her own business, she worked for CNN. So she's like known as the CEO whisperer, right? So she worked with Anderson Cooper and Wolf Blitzer of, oh, okay, hey, they're getting ready to go on air, 3 million viewers, and they're fucked up mentally. And she had like 2 minutes to fix their mind, remove the block, and get them in the state they need, before they go on stage. So if anybody's ever watched that show Billions, yeah, right. She's I can't remember her name. The chicken Billions, like the peak performance, aka psychologist that's on staff that gets all of these performance. So anyway, though, I mean, the track record's there. Like, she knows what she's doing, works with a lot of brilliant entrepreneurs, and I vetted pretty hard. So she's like, before this moment, when you hired me, did you have confidence in me and my abilities? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, I'm going to ask you to have that same level of confidence. And she's like, just trust me. She's like, you got to do the work. She's like, I know that you know this, but you got to do the process to do the work. I'm like, all right, fine. Like, okay, cool. Opened up my mind and allowed her to do her thing. And going through that discovery process, man, I didn't realize, all the little things that just do that come up in our day-to-day lives that, like, all right, in order for you to operate at the best version of yourself, right? If you want to go out there and be massively inspirational, and like, you've got to be at your highest level of energetic self, right? So I'm like, dude, like, we started doing crazy work, like remodeling my house and in certain rooms and like setting things up where every element. So like we assessed every association I had with friends, employees, and staff. Yeah, right. To again, like how my office was set up, to my home, where every room that I walk into and every association that I have, it feeds me energy and doesn't drain my energy, right? So, but so it's doing that deep work, man, right? Because it's insane the difference and the power that you can have at business. Like, dude, when you go from having maybe a good marriage, which I had a good marriage before that. Yeah, right. But after working with Camille, I have a great marriage. Yeah, right. Doesn't mean that we still don't, have our issues, but now we have the tools to work through our issues, and we're able to connect on a deeper level than ever before. Yeah, right. Same thing with my kids, and and again, this comes back to the comparison thing. Yeah, right. But this is how you get to the next level, right? So like, since we're going Camille, man, like, not all, like, because I have multiple other businesses as well, but dude, like, I have never made financial leaps that I've been making from monthly, income that's coming in, as well as overall net worth, as I have had in the last 2 years of working with her. Even though we don't work on business, like, ever. Yeah, right. It's working on me at the deepest possible level. But like, I didn't really realize it, but man, I suffered from a ton of guilt. Yeah, right. And I'll share one example of why. Yeah, right. And this comes back to the comparison thing. So like, my wife, right, like, her dad is like that, like, epic and me. Like, he's like the dad, like, the best dad that, right, the best grandpa. Like, he's just an amazing dude. Yeah, right. So I started putting myself on a comparison of him, and I'm not him. Yeah, right. And a lot of that, I mean, I allowed myself to compare myself with him, but that's also my wife's gauge to compare me as a father. Yeah, right. And it would create a lot of guilt, right? Because, dude, like, I'm not pulling off what he pulled off, right? Dude, I don't take my kids fishing. Like, I fucking hate fishing. Like, I don't. Like whatever, right? And I'm beating myself up over and over and over about it, compared to staying in my own lane and running my own race, right? And comparing it to, like, then you look at my upbringing, right? So, parents got divorced very young, for the most, all my childhood was, raised by my mom. That was, she's on her sixth marriage now today. And luckily she finally had to kiss a lot of frogs to meet her prince. She's with the stud now, amazing guy that treats her like gold. Everybody in between, dude, were massively abusive men. So my childhood was spent, being surrounded by constant alcohol and drugs. And like, dude, like, I had my stepdad, like, get me drunk when I was, like, in third grade. And like, I got exposed to drugs at a very young age. And like, my childhood was coming home and watching my mom get the living shit kicked out of her every night. Right. So so you go from that environment that I grew up in, right, compared to what I've created for my family, right? Like, then to me, like, now, like, when I look at that, right, like, I am so fucking proud of what I've created and what I've done and the man that I've become, right? But when I could start comparing myself to, my wife's story and her upbringing, then I feel like shit, right? And that guilt doesn't serve me. Like, Camille told me, she's like, hey, I'm not giving you permission to not level up as a husband or father. She's like, if you don't continue leveling up as a husband or father, I'm gonna kick your ass. Right. But she's like, what I'm doing is giving you permission to be proud of like, what you've accomplished from what you've come from. Like, you got it, like, that shit, dude, it becomes so powerful. And then the difference from operating a place of guilt. Like, dude, I'd go home every night and I never felt good at being home. I didn't really want to be at home. Yeah, I want to see my wife and see my kids, but I felt always good at business, but I felt like shit at home. Right now I feel amazing at home. Right. And nothing has changed. Right, other than the right perception that alleviates that guilt. But then the power and energy and inspiration, motivation, and drive that comes from not allowing that guilt to show up in my life allows me to fucking kick ass at business at such a higher level. So part of the work that she had me doing with her, or still has me doing, was she introduced me to a personality profile test called Wealth Dynamics, which is my favorite. Dude, it is such a game changer. Now, I don't use it in hiring, like, in the staff hiring process. Like, I'm a big fan of the DISC test, right? Now, for my leadership positions, I also incorporate the Wealth Dynamics. But for you to self-discover yourself, right? To learn your true strengths, to learn your, like, what gives you energy, because you might be really good at something, but it might be forced action compared to inspired action. Yeah, right. Dude, it gives you such a deep introspective of who you are as a human being. It's $100. Wealth Dynamics, go take it, dude. It's a game changer, right? So, but anyway, with that, what was so cool about it, because when you discover that, right, it talks about like building your business to the point where you can stay in your lane. Yeah, right. Like so for me, I'm what's called a mechanic in the report, right? So I love building systems and processes and developing automation. Yeah, right. At a high level, man. Right. So that's my strength, right? Where before I started working with Camille and doing this discovery, dude, like I'd only invest probably 10% of my time doing that, right? So now it's allowed me to create my team around my strength. Where, dude, 99% of my day is on my superpower now. Yeah, right. With that, and then the other element to that I love about it is it gives you, like, I don't know the exact amount, but let's just say a dozen of other either current extremely successful entrepreneurs or past successful entrepreneurs that shared your same profile. Yeah, right. So like I mentioned, like Cardone earlier, right? Like the dude's a badass, right? I've had him on my podcast and been able to meet with him and spend some time with him multiple different times. And, I've read all his content. It's badass stuff. Like, I love the guy, right? But I have a very hard time relating with him as far as building a business the way he's built his business. Because, dude, we are two opposite profile types on the wealth dynamics, right? So when I started studying guys like Ray Kroc, dude, I am not a visionary, bro. Like, I'm not the inventor. I'm not the visionary. Yeah, right. And just like Ray Kroc, like he didn't create McDonald's. He saw he saw something that existed and just learned a way to go out there and improve it, right, and systematize it and scale it. And that's what I do. It's like my like, dude, like I'm in this. I've got a software a company that I'm a co-owner in, right? Like we didn't we've created our software, but like, dude, it's a website and a CRM. Yeah, right. But I'm not the guy that goes out and creates the revolutionary thing that nobody's ever seen, right? But what I'm good at is taking down something that's like already exists and just massively improving it, right? So now I'm studying the people that have built epic, amazing businesses and epic, amazing, lives that I respect, that share that same profile like that I do. So I'm able to relate with him so much more, and it gives me so much clarity on what I need to be doing. So that's what I was sharing with you. And I know I kind of went, it's a long ass answer to a short question, but
I love it
behind how all that came about. That's what I keep saying, man. You got to study the right people. Right. And it becomes massive.
Dude, I think there's a lot of wisdom, and you just shared a lot in that. And I appreciate you going there. I know I didn't tell you we were going to go there, and I didn't even think about it, honestly, till I just asked the question. But here's the deal. We got 9 minutes left. I have one left. I'll call it agenda item that I want to ask you. And then I want to also talk about anything else that you want to talk about. And so I'm going to ask you my question, and then I'm going to let you either answer that or anything else that you want to talk about first, and then answer that. My question is this. So there's a gentleman who's made a big impact in my life, and he ends his podcast. You may have listened to it before. His name is Dave Asprey, and in his podcast, he always ends it by asking his guests, like, what are the 3 pieces of advice? If I said, Josh, give me 3 things to do to just kick more ass at life. Like if I just did these 3 things in general, it could be life, could be business, could be personal life, whatever, could be my physical life, my mental life, whatever. But what are the 3 pieces of advice you would give me to kick more ass at life, just overall in general?
Yeah, love it. So number 1, spend a lot of time getting clarity on what you truly want, right? I mean, most of our whole lives are designed and if you think about it, it's how we're domesticated, right? So as kids, like our whole lives exist, or at least at a younger age, like we just want to please our parents. Oh, like that's why your kids are always like, oh, daddy, mommy, like watch me. Like what, Dad, watch me play Minecraft. Like, do I really want to fucking watch you play Minecraft? Like, right? But it's like they just want to please their parents, right? And we condition them that way. Then it's okay. I got to please my teachers. I got to please my coaches. So their whole from 0 to 18, their whole entire life has been to please everybody else and never live their own life. So then we're told, all right, go off to college. Good fucking luck. Go figure out what you want to do, right? And we've never once thought about what we truly want. Yeah, right. So people go on and go to get jobs that they don't really want, but it pleases their parents and they know and make them proud or happy, right? Like spend some time getting clarity on what you want. I don't know if I've ever shared this with you. I probably have at some point, Kevin, but I had a 2-year stint where I was a nurse's aide at a hospital on the hospice floor, right? So like my whole entire job, 12-hour days, was just to hang out with people on their deathbeds and keep them comfortable. Right. So, I had that 2 years, man. Like I never kept count, but I'm going to guess is in the high hundreds, if not thousands of patients, that spending just every single day, 12 hours a day, hanging out with them and having a deep conversation with them on their deathbed. And I was in my early 20s, so part of it might have been age, but also I think part of it was that I wasn't, related to them, wasn't a family member, they probably wanted to share some wisdom with me because of my age too, but they could be honest with me. Yeah, right? Like with their family, they're like, oh yeah, I had such a great life, because they don't want anybody to feel bad. Right? But to me, they were honest, right? And dude, of the hundreds of thousands of people I had conversations with on their deathbed, right? Not one of them ever was like, dude, Josh, life was amazing. Life was epic. I'm ready for the next journey, whatever that was. Every single one of them had this massive shoulda, woulda, could list. Wish I would have done this. Wish I would have done this. Wish I would have traveled more, vacation more. Wish I would have, went after that dream job. Wish I would have married somebody different. Wish I would have been a better father or husband. Right? You could see the pain in their eyes. Right? So like, dude, if you don't wake up and you don't get clear on what you want, that's exactly where you're going to be. Blink of an eye, you're 84 years old, you on your deathbed, you're going to have that internal reflection question of what did I do with this gift called life? Did I piss it away, or do I have something amazing with it? And that conversation is going to be internal. Nobody gives a fuck. You can't fake that conversation to yourself. Jim Rohn always said, like, you got the choice of two pains in this life: pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Yeah, right. But the good thing is the pain of discipline weighs ounces, the regret weighs tons, right? But the missing statement of that is like, in order to know and really be able to go out there and do the disciplinary things that take action, right? Because all of us, dude, we are all weak motherfucking human beings, right? Like we all have limited willpower. We all have limited discipline, right? But why do some people seem more disciplined, right? It's because they are fucking very clear on exactly what they want. Right. So people spend more time today designing their grocery list or designing Christmas or designing a vacation than they ever do their life plan. Right. Really think about what you want. What are your goals? Is that what you really want? Or are you living your life for external purposes? So number one, get very clear on that. Number two, get the right mentors. Right. One thing that I was blessed with is, well, I shouldn't say blessed, right? I use that term, even though I really don't fucking believe in that term. We're all blessed. We breathe oxygen. We're here. Like, we're all fucking blessed, right? So none of us can, don't be an entire little punk. We're all blessed, right? So I align myself. Like when I got my real estate license, dude, I wasn't like, oh, who's the cheapest brokerage, right? I was like, I align myself with the biggest badass that I could find that create a ton of success. I could give two shits what the fees were, what the splits were. The company I joined, dude, I couldn't even afford to be there. Yeah, right. I started swiping out credit cards. I rented an office because I knew success through osmosis. I wanted to be around winners. I couldn't afford the office. I had like 60 days to get something in escrow. I was done because I was just living off fumes at that point. My desk, I had a friend give me 2 steel file cabinets, and I got a piece of particle board. And that was my desk for like my first 6 months of my business, dude. But I had the office in the office, right? And I was at the right place. Yeah, right. But that aligned me with the right mentors, right? So what did that do for me, right? So when the market turned and I didn't know what the fuck a short sale was, I didn't know what an REO was, right? I was with a top motherfucker that dominated for 30 straight years. That could be like, all right, Josh, here's exactly what you need to do. Like, dude, I don't need to know what to do. I just need to know who to go to, who are the right people to go to. And even though a lot of it might be blind faith, fucking execute on what they tell you to do. So great mentors. And I would like to say something cheesy, like do the work, whatever, but that's a given, right? So the last thing, and I know a lot of people hear this, Jim Rohn kind of coined the term of, or the saying of, you're an average of 5 people that you spend most time with. But it's so true, man. Like check your associations, do what your ears listen to and your eyeballs watch matters. I don't have a fucking TV in my house. I mean, we have a TV on the wall, but like I don't have a cable. I don't have, right? Like what are you listening to? What are you watching? Right? Like one of the issues out there is everybody talks about all these big goals, right? Like, oh man, I got these big goals I want to go out there and achieve. Yeah, right. So my mentor Darren Hardy, as I told you earlier, he's always like, dude, before you tell me your big goal list, tell me what your big sacrifice list is first. Right? Like everybody says big ass goals, but nobody's willing to make big ass sacrifices and getting clear on what they're willing to sacrifice, right? Like you got to get clear on that. Like for me, for what I want to build, dude, like I'm very clear on what I'll sacrifice and not sacrifice. I won't sacrifice my health, won't sacrifice my marriage, won't sacrifice my relationship with my kids. Other than that, it's fucking on, right? I don't give a shit about like, you know, I'm extremely introverted. So, yeah, I don't really have much of a social life. I'm a loner. Yeah. Right. So like, that's not something important to me. Yeah. Right. So I'm very clear on where to pivot there with that, you know, but your associations matter, man. Like you gotta be rolling with the right people, dude. In all aspects of life that align with your life. Like I was thinking about the other day, dude, you know, there's this statistic out there, you know, right? That X amount of percentage of married couples are divorced and whatever. Dude, I don't have one close, like extremely close friend that I spent a lot of time with that's ever been divorced, right? They're amazing husbands, like they're committed. Yeah, right. You know, they're all successful, whether not all of them are entrepreneurs, some of them are in corporate, but they are fucking badasses of what they do. You know, right? With that, you know, it's like you and I had talked about the weight loss conversation, dude. If I got 5 best friends that are obese and dude, like on Saturday, all they want to go do is eat a meal and fucking eat ice cream. Like I need to be with it. Like that doesn't align with my goals. I need to be the dudes that want to go hike, right? If my friends in association are making me feel guilty because I want to grow my business and all they want to do is fucking go to Buffalo Wild Wings and play fantasy football, some stupid shit like that, that's going to hinder me, you know, right? You know, so, you know, those would be my 3 pieces. And I don't know how we're doing on time.
Dude, that first of all, that's solid. We're actually right at the hour mark, and I promised I would let you go, and I got to get running as well. But quick thing, I just popped up on the screen. GSD Mode is the name of your podcast where people can catch up with you. One of the things I appreciate about you is you're constantly putting out content and information to help other people, not just in our industry, but even outside of our industry, to get better and to help them whatever next level is for them, whatever level up is for them. You've got something out there to help them with. So that's something I really appreciate about you. And I really honor you for, dude, is always putting yourself out there and putting your ass on the line, because you're going to go out and get better, and you could just be doing it and keeping it all for you. But one of the things I love about you, man, is that you're doing it and you're sharing it with the rest of us. And that means a lot to me. So guys, if for some reason you're the only person on the planet that hasn't checked out his podcast, please check it out. He would never say it himself, so I'm going to say it for him. And Josh, dude, I appreciate you so much, more than you probably know. And I want to say thanks a lot for spending some time with us today.
Yeah, it's been an honor, man. And right back at you, dude. I mean, this is going back to the associations, right? I mean, you align yourself with like-minded people, and dude, I love and respect. And I mean, you guys are out there doing the same shit, man, and impacting lives. And that's why it's always such a blessing and an honor to roll with you, dude. So, yeah, I truly appreciate you allowing me to be here with you guys.
Right on, man. Thanks a lot. And Next Level Agents, we'll talk to you next time. Have a great one.
Peace.